Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with working on Ubuntu. So last night I was working on the Ubiquity Slideshow for Ubuntu MATE. We added the new design from the Uru theme and some screenshots and artwork, and I noticed there was some merge proposals from the Ubuntu Studio project and the Ubuntu Kylin project. So this evening I'm going to review their code changes to try and get those all merged up. So let's get on with it. Right then, let's just remind ourselves why we're looking at UI related stuff. So here's the schedule. So here's the important date. March 19th, that's when user interface freeze happens, so this is why the flavors want to get all of their stuff done. And yes, I've moved sides, and also look, I've gone and put my green pattern top on, so I'm the invisible man this evening. And then the other thing I need to pay close attention to is documentation string freeze, which is a week later. And that's when all of the translations get frozen in the distro. So I need to look out for if any of these merge proposals from those other flavors have string changes. So this was the overview of the upcoming stuff. There's my stuff that I submitted last night. I spoke to Seb, who's one of the tech leads on the desktop team, earlier today. He's going to review my code changes tomorrow. I obviously can't review my own. But then down here we have the one from Eric for Ubuntu Studio. This one, nice and simple. 6 lines of code changed, apparently. Shouldn't take too long. However, Ubuntu Kylin, 10,400 lines changed. I suspect there's translation changes or string changes in there somewhere. So I'm a little bit daunted by that one. Hopefully it's not going to be too complicated. But let's just I've opened up each of these in a tab. Here's mine yesterday. It's pending a change. And what have we got here? There's Kylin, so we'll come back to that in a moment. Now here's Eric's. Now I already have approved this one because I was in here earlier, and what I noticed was when I scrolled down that the change for Ubuntu Studio is just artwork changes. So there's a new background image, and it looks like they've changed some of the screenshots in the slides. So a little bit earlier on, I pulled down the code. No, I don't want that one. I want flavors, and we've got one for Studio, and we've got the test script. We don't want that one, we want this one. So I pulled down Eric's changes, which exist here, and when I run this, haha, this does look nice, Eric, I have to say. I do like the new backdrop. These are very, very clean. It is fitting that a distro aimed towards people creating content has such attractive slideshows. So I looked through these, and I didn't need to check the strings, but I do just check to make sure they don't overflow anywhere. And it's all looking great. So that one I've approved. So Seb will pick that up in the morning, and we'll hopefully get that merged into master for you, Eric. So you'll definitely make the UI freeze deadline, which is next Thursday. Now, however, as previously discussed, it looks like Kylin may be a little bit more challenging. So let's see what it's going to be. I realise I've made some changes to YouTube, and it doesn't work very well. It's put a watermark in an inconvenient place. Right. Yes, so there it is. That was an exclusive reveal on the stream there of the new slideshow for Ubuntu Studio Focal Fusa. So when we look at the changes from Ffmpeg for Kylin, I pulled those in earlier. I did this earlier because the archive, the repository for the slideshow is quite large because it's had tons of images in it over the years. So I pulled these down earlier. And, well, the first thing we can do is... oops, hello. Let's try that again, shall we? The first thing we can do is run the test display. And this will be the first reveal for Ubuntu Kylin. Wow, okay, this is very different from the other flavors. Ah, they've got a typo. They've got a typo. Latest stable kern. I think we'll point that out. So I'm now going to write that up. Noticed a typo in the first slide that reads... I wonder if that's selectable text. It isn't. Latest stable kern. So I'm already going to say that this one needs fixing because they won't want to have that go out with a typo in the very first slide for sure. It's a trivial fix. Now, what I am going to do is look through the rest of the slides first. So, I'm just checking chat there. Yeah, Bill, I agree. Eric's done a fine job with the slideshow. Wow, it looks like they're promoting hardware support for those new CPUs that are coming out of China, so that's interesting. I wonder if we had to do anything specific in the distro for that, or if they're just compatible. So that one seems fine. I'm not seeing any typos there. If anyone in the chat does, let me know. You can help too. New desktop environment, brand new design, more concise and easy to use. UK UI. So the Ubuntu Kylin UI, here's a fun fact. It's based on MATE desktop. So there's a lot of common code and infrastructure between the distros, even though when you run Ubuntu Kylin, it is very different looking. It's a real departure from what MATE looks like. Quite astonishing what they've done with it. So this slide looks good. The panel. This is new. I hadn't seen. I'm going to have to run this up. Well, maybe we'll have a little look at this in a bit. Quick app preview, unified plugin style. This is all good. None of the text has overflowed to push the images down. I do like these. These slides are very nice too. They're very succinct, to the point. Kylin series applications installed. Should that be Kylin or should that be Kylin? I don't know if there's a thing called Kylin or if that's a typo. Let's flag it. Right. Right then, okay. So we get to the end of the slideshow. So actually there's very little text in here. Very little text indeed. There's no links. So I think whatever exists here is all irrelevant. Oh. Edge Ubuntu. Why have they made changes to the Edge Ubuntu? I mean, Edge Ubuntu is not a thing anymore. But why? Why is that being changed? I think that might be a mistake. the background music is clipping. Is it loud? I've got it down quite low in my ears. I can barely hear it, so I'd be surprised if it's super loud. Let me know. It's a different style of music this evening. I got copyright strikes for playing Creative Commons music on the last two live streams. I'm trying a different selection of Creative Commons music tonight in the hope that Google come to their senses. Right, I don't know why they've changed this. Could it be that they've taken a fork from ages ago? So, okay, they've removed... Here we go. So here's their text. This is the text for their actual slideshow. And then they've got what looks to be a Korean version here. Is that what that is? Okay. But it looks like they may have been making changes to other people's translations. So let's just take a look up here. Ubiquity Slideshow Ubuntu. That's fine. So they've updated their translations. That's obviously all fine. But I was a bit concerned by this one, even though that doesn't exist. I wonder if there's any others for other projects here. Let's just... a Kubuntu, it says. Oh, hello. What's this? They've changed the... no, we can't. Unfortunately, we're going to have to reject this one. Good evening, musical coder. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to reject this on the grounds that it touches the... So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say resubmit it. And there it is. So, unfortunately, that's a bit of a sad outcome. I was hoping we'd be able to get both of those in. But hopefully, because of the way time zones work, I can ping Handsome Feng on IRC. And let him know why I've suggested that he comes back and have another stab at that one. However, Kylin did look like it could be interesting. So, shall we have a look? I have my crazy little... I've now renamed it QEMU. This is basically like VirtualBox but written in Bash, but better than VirtualBox obviously because it's written in Bash. So let's go and grab ourselves an Ubuntu Kylin ISO. Now, here's a fun trick. We can use ZSync to pull down the deltas from a previous day's distro, but you can also do crazy stuff with it like this. So if we copy in from Ubuntu MATE the ISO image here, we can then ZSync oh, hang on, that's Ubuntu Studio. ZSync. There we go. So Ubuntu Kylin over the top. And because, as I said, Kylin and Ubuntu MATE have so much in common, failed to Right, well, let's go and find out. So if you've ever wondered where the CD images live for the dailies, they live at cdimage.ubuntu.com. Ubuntu Kylin doesn't have a hyphen, so if I remove that... Right, so that should... So that's now comparing an Ubuntu MATE ISO image from yesterday to the Ubuntu Kylin image from today, and it will now figure out the binary deltas for those two things, and it will update that MATE ISO and jam Kylin over the top. But it will mean I won't have to download all 2.4 gigabytes of it, just the bits on disk that are different. So whilst that's running, here's what we're actually doing. So inside each flavor you have this daily live folder, and in here we keep a couple of days worth, and current always has the current spin, which was made yesterday evening, so about 22 hours ago was when this ISO was built. And there's the ZSync file that I've pointed this at, and there's the actual ISO, which is 2.1 gig. So what we're doing at the moment here is it's a bit like torrent, downloading a torrent. It's comparing the checksums and hashes from this ZSync file between the two, and once it's calculated the differences, it will start pulling the bits down. Hopefully, I'm hoping it won't take too long. Here we go. How long is that going to take? So there is approximately 58% of Ubuntu MATE in Ubuntu Kylin, which is not unsurprising given, there's a lot of common stuff in all of the Ubuntu flavors. So whilst that's coming down, what can we do? We could have a little look at... oops, I probably shouldn't do that, but okay. There we go. There's code editor. That's what we were doing last night. We can get rid of all of that. So what we can do is let's open my little QEMU thing. So scripts QEMU. Why is that so wide? We don't need that. Doink. So this is a bash script that I use to run up virtual machines. And the reason I created this is, I don't think I have it in front of me at the moment, but I have a couple of USB drives, high capacity USB drives, that are like 1 and 2 terabytes in size. And I wanted to be able to have lots of virtual machines for different distros, not just the Ubuntu flavors, but distros in general, because we test lots of different distros as in the Snapcraft team. So I was using VirtualBox, but it required you to fiddle around with symlinks and special configurations and all the rest of it, and I got a bit tired with all of that, so I came up with this. And the idea is that the configuration for each virtual machine is very simple. So here's one here for Ubuntu Focal, and I can cap that file. In fact, let's edit it actually. So this is the configuration file, and in fact that doesn't even need to be in there anymore. So we have two configuration options. One, where is the ISO image for this distro, and what is the disk image that we want to store. It uses the hard disk. So from there we can simply run QEMU and then VM, and what one were we looking at there? Was that Ubuntu? Ubuntu Focal Desktop. And what that just did was create the disk image because it didn't exist, and now it's booted off the ISO image. And there we are. We've now got that VM created. And the reason why it only requires a few... oh, and here's the new splash, the flicker-free boot. So this is configured to do EFI booting inside the VM as well. That's an option that I've got because sometimes you want to test EFI systems and sometimes you want to test traditional BIOS, but given that it's the future now, I default to EFI. So that's how it works. It's super simple, and one of the reasons why, and then hopefully if the gods are smiling I can do that. Ta-da! Automatically resizes, so no messing about. That's nice. So what this has in common is it does a quick introspection of the CPU cores, and it says if you've got 8 or more, then use 4 for the VM. If you've got 4 or more, use 2 for the VM, and anything else it uses 1. Does a similar trick with the amount of memory that it allocates to the VM by going off how much RAM you've got in your system. I'm always using 64 gig, but because it's copy on write, it's, you know, grow into that size rather than pre-allocate. This is a hangover. It doesn't actually work anymore, but we'll gloss over that. And then I have a couple of functions here. One to delete an image. So if I wanted to start over with that VM, I can just do delete and it'll kill it. And if I start it again very quickly, that will create an empty disk image. I can just wait for the boot screen to come and then kill it. And then I can also just do snapshot to create a snapshot of the disk. He says, or not. Okay, found a bug there. Maybe I'll fix that in a moment. And that's kind of it. But what it does down here, the reason there are so few options is I really wanted it to do the same thing every time. So it uses the same VirtIO network configuration, and it hooks up the clock to the local device, and it uses the same keyboard and mouse devices and accelerates dev random and all that sort of thing. So all of these are pretty static, and it just means it's really easy to just download an ISO and fire it up. And that's a key part of the way that I do this testing. So we're looking at 1 minute until that's come down. So let's see if we can identify what went wrong with my script. So I did a snapshot and it failed. So here's my snapshot method. So I say if the snapshot exists, then copy it to snapshot.old. That's reasonable enough. And then I do disk image. That all looks fine. So what did it do? Could not open Ubuntu. Actually, I'm not sure why that's double prefixing. So the issue is it's double prefixing Ubuntu there. So you recognize that code from Dan's Cloud Snap. Right, so McPhail is commenting that he recognizes the way that the QEMU engine is stood up here. Yes, you'll recognize some of this because I did some pull requests to the project that Dan derived clouds from, which is Sasumi. And that's a derivative of another snap called QEMU Virgil, which I've also done some work on. So yeah, this is, you know, a common pattern for standing that stuff up, although I am very confused. Anyway, I don't need to be confused because we've now got this. So we've now got a folder So that's Z-synced over the top. So there's the old Ubuntu MATE one there at 2.4 gig, and then this is now Kylin at 2.2. So what we'll do is copy my Ubuntu MATE focal to Ubuntu Kylin, and we'll edit that, and we'll change that to Kylin and Kylin, and that should do it. So if we do QEMU and this file, we should get a look at Ubuntu Kylin. So there's the boot splash. Oh, there we go. Wow, check these guys out. Isn't this fancy? Wow, look at all these animations, man. This is incredible. I'm gonna have to go poking around in their code repositories. Some of this I recognise. They've borrowed that from Ubuntu MATE. Oh dear, I've got the flicker back. I didn't fix that yesterday. So it's doing the integrity check of the ISO. This will prove that Z-Sync works. So it's at 99% and it's passed. So there we go. It's done the checks and oh. Has it finished loading? I wonder if these are supposed to have icons, some of these. And it's obviously defaulting to a Chinese dialect, so I may struggle. I wonder if this is auto-adapting. Nope. Okay. Now, you wouldn't believe that this was built using some of the same underlying technology as MATE desktop. Well, I was hoping to test this, but I think I'm going to struggle. Wow, look at all this. So I'm guessing it's the year of the rat or something. We shouldn't judge because obviously we're a little ways out from release at the moment, so it's quite possible. Yeah, that's not something I can read. So yes, I think for non-Chinese speakers this may be a bit of a challenge. This does look like, wow, they really have changed it, haven't they? It looks like Windows. Wonder what that is. That might be about. Yeah, I can't get any meaning out of that, so I can't actually tell what it's based on. Oh well, something for another day, and I don't need to shut it down gracefully. Right, okay, well, those code reviews are complete. Eric's is all approved, and they need to do some work on Kylin. So I think that's all I've got for today. If you're interested in poking around more with QEMU at some point, and looking at, you know, why I set up VMs the way I do, I can do that. I've also been thinking about putting a really super simple UI on that, and also sticking it on GitHub at some point. It just lives in my own little dot file configuration at the moment. And the next thing I want to be looking at is I've been doing some work on Ffmpeg and Ffmpeg. So for the brave of heart, I have a PPA which is simply called Ffmpeg, and this is a build of Ffmpeg for focal only. That has Ffmpeg enabled by default, I've done some work on the snap to do the same, and I wanted to make sure that the version in the archive for the LTS is also NVENC enabled, so things like OBS Studio and Shotcut and all the other things that can take advantage of that stuff work. So I had to package up this thing and make some changes to this thing, and I'm in the process of trying to land that in Ubuntu and also upstreaming that work to Debian. And that means that I have to file some bugs, not bugs as such, but issues to track landing new packages in Debian. So I think that's the next thing I'm going to have a go at. Or it might be something more fun. I want to have a go at snapping Lightworks. So let me know in the comments, which would you rather see? QEMU stuff, Ffmpeg stuff, or Lightworks snapping stuff, because they're all three things that I want to get done. And then another thing that I've got planned is I need to go do a round robin of all of the projects that make up Ubuntu MATE, and go and look and see if there's any new pull requests, any bug fixes, and start wrapping up bug fixes and general quality improvements across the distro. So Bill, if there's anything that you know I really need to fix, let me know in the team Slack, and I'll build some notes, and maybe I'll have a sit down and have a wash round a whole bunch of MATE related stuff, and get that cleaned up in time for release. Anyway, I don't think I've got anything else. Thank you for coming, those of you that came. Nice to see you all again. If you liked this, mash that like button. Tell your friends. If your friends and others are having difficulty getting to sleep at night, whisper them the URL of the YouTube channel, that sort of thing. And I think we're done. So, without further ado, we'll call it quits there for the evening, I think. We'll just see if there's any last. So Bill's interested in looking at a QEMU live stream. I'll certainly do something with that. And Musical Coder is also interested in QEMU stuff. So yeah, I'll do one. I'll take my script and maybe add a couple of enhancements and talk through what's going on there, and then stick it on GitHub so people can take advantage of it. It's a lot more lightweight and flexible than, you know, the big full-blown graphical things. And like I say, you can put a whole load of ISOs and VMs on a USB stick, and you can take your testing system with you. It's extremely handy. Right then, thank you all for coming. I'll probably be doing another one of these tomorrow at some time or other. So follow me on Twitter there to get notifications of when I'm going to be doing that stuff. But thank you everyone. I'll see you soon.